How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Novakast. This is Rob, and for the longest time, I've kind of put this off, and honestly, I don't want to read this book, but I'm going to. Stones of Abbigale by Onision. We are on chapter 3. Now, if you guys have seen the other two chapter readings, I'm not a big fan of this book. I really am not. It kind of makes me want to start reading like actual good literature for the channel, which that might be a thing down the line. We'll see. But anyways, for those who don't remember, or for those who don't know, or just coming into this, Onision, Greg Jackson, James Jackson, however you want to call him, is an individual who has made, YouTube videos, poems, quotes, in quote, poems, and books. This individual was more so or not or I guess several times over, not the best person online. And with a lot of the people kind of keeping an eye on this individual and how they behave, remove themselves from the internet. So anyway, let's look at their book once again. Try to get through this as quickly as I can. And let's look at chapter 3. Good God. Okay. Chapter 3. Briefly, after I fell asleep that night, I had a dream about Abby. It was the first dream I had experienced in some time. I'm not normally the type of person to be deeply impacted by dreams, as more often than not, I can control them. Sure. I can recognize the fact that I'm in a dream and twist things around so that whatever is making me afraid becomes afraid of me. This tactic, however, could not possibly work in this soon-to-be nightmare, as there was no living monster awaiting around the corner. There was no emotion in this machine that was about to reveal itself to me. I could only watch without a physical form. I was just a helpless spectator in my own mind. The dream began without any sound, only a deep hum accompanying what appeared to be Abby laughing in a field of what looked like gray grass from afar. As my view of her revealed more detail, I began to realize that what I thought was grass was actually long, slender claws. Experiencing a more alarmed spectrum of motion, the audible hum cut out and was replaced by Abby's screams. The sounds echoed, bouncing off the walls. It would sound better if it just wrote the sounds echoed off the walls, not echoed bouncing. They're both the same thing, technically. Okay. Echoed bouncing off the walls of my mind, splitting me in two and engulfing the core my being. By the way, there's a lot of grammatical errors in this, just so you guys know. So, alright. She was not forming any words in her screams, and I began to understand why. The more I realized every detail, I shifted my perspective to a new angle. I was now above her, looking down, and could see the claws were pulling her into the ground. She showed no resistance to being dragged into the ground. She didn't even cry for help. She would only scream in pain as she slowly sank beneath the surface. I began to distinctly hear blades and gears violently turning just beneath her. It's difficult to explain, but in her eyes, I could see she didn't want to be saved, as she generally felt she had earned the suffering she was enduring. She believed she deserved to be ground up until there was nothing left. Once she was pulled completely under, I was finally given a physical form in the dream, dropping from above. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna try to read this right. Dropping from above, I landed on the soil she disappeared in. I immediately dropped to my knees and began digging with my bare hands to get to Abby. I was only inches deep before the ground ripped open, forcing me to jump back. A deep canyon began to form central to where I had begun digging. The splitting and groaning quickly gained momentum. Ripping and screeching sounds erupted all around me as the earth divided before me at a now crippling rate. A hellish sight consumed my eyes as I looked down on the collapsing landmass below. Powerful machines wielding massive blades swung violently, scraping dirt and rock with a sound so tremendous I could only faintly hear the screams of countless desperate humans below. I quickly realized the terrified voices beyond the rippling blades were no illusion. Thousands of lives were being devoured in piles, no person among them begging for life. Rather, like Abby, they screamed only from pain delivered not just by the roaring blades and gears, but their very existence itself. Suffering and consciousness had become one in the same. Okay. I then woke up to my room filled with sunlight, but it could not change the darkness my dream left me with. I felt something inside me change, almost as if I had seen something I had never meant to, and now had to find a way to lose the thick cloud freshly looming over my head. It is, as I said briefly before, I feel like a visitor here. Like I'm in this world, but not a part of it. Like everyone else, I study people and situations to find out how they work, and sometimes my dreams fill in the emotions and thoughts I missed while I was awake. Not having to go to school that day due to my suspension, I decided to write a letter to Abby. It read, when I look in your eyes, I at times feel a level of sadness I have never felt. As if we, despite barely knowing each other, have been apart for far too long. When I talk to you, it is like I am listening to a voice I've ached for yet haven't heard in a lifetime. Every other experience I have with you seems familiar, but at the same time it hurts, like you would feel if you begged for someone to only receive it when you already give up hope. These feelings are all so strange and evolving at a rate that scares me, as they are for someone I am only just now truly getting to know. Even with my brief presence in your life, I've picked up on so much suffering and almost feel powerless to create any change. There are so many wounds, so many scars, so much I only know enough about to fear. I'm trying to understand. Abby, you have more pain in your life than I can imagine. I hear it in your voice, I see it in your eyes, and in the way you move. I just want to see you smile without there being an ocean wall of tears behind your eyes. I want to feel everything you have to say. I want to find a way to heal the damage done until you can forget it ever existed. I sent the letter to her email address. Moments later, the phone rang. Answering the phone, I heard Abby's voice on the other side. Hey, can you meet me at the Quick Mart, she asked. I responded, did you see my email? She replied, nope, why didn't you just call? I said, it would have been really hard to say over the phone. Yeah, because the email itself sounds creepy enough. I had to find the words. She replied, okay. I'll look and then I'll head over. I then confirmed, sure, see you there. Shortly after I got dressed and skated over to meet her, I arrived quickly thanks to what seemed to be a record speed for me. However, once I arrived, I found myself waiting for someone who now had no intention of meeting me. I could only assume I had just made myself look like a huge jerk to her. I attempted to call her from the nearby payphone, and she didn't answer. As I skated home, in my mind, I went through the letter I wrote over and over. I began to blame myself, including based on her absence, that I must have dug too deep too fast. I scared her away because I reacted on the emotions I experienced in that dream before actually considering the human being on the other side of the letter. I felt like I was just about finally I'm reading this right. I was just about finally connect with someone only to ruin everything at the last minute. I was just about to connect with someone. Come on. And that's the end of chapter 4, or chapter 3, going on to chapter 4. Not now, but later on. So far, as per usual with Onision's books, I don't even know what to say with this particular chapter. I mean, it just felt boring. It really did. Like, to an extent, between the grammar errors and above all just the writing itself, it just, I don't know how to describe it. I guess I think I already did. It's boring. It's just flat out boring. The descriptions of the supposed nightmare is kind of repetitive, and in terms of his portrayal of this character of being like stoic and the only time I ever feel any emotion is in these dreams. I'm continuously observing other people. It just I don't know. I don't get into this character. I really don't. And knowing the individual, knowing some of their other writing, it's probably gonna get worse. So anyway, that was Chapter 3 of Stones of Abbigale. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my reading of it. And I'm sure some people enjoyed my pain. If you guys can, please like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below. As well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Novakast signing off. Have a good one, take care. And I'll see you guys next video.